The president pushing the crackdown on crime in our nation's capital. The White House is moving forward with plans to increase federal law enforcement presence in D.C. Washington correspondent Maddie Beard Temple takes a closer look.
President Trump said on Truth Social, Washington, D.C. will be a, quote, safe place very soon, reposting an image of a former DOJ employee who was attacked in D.C.
You'll be seeing more soon. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
White House officials say the district can expect to see more federal police presence starting Friday.
The president has been very clear that he's going to take the action necessary to secure the city of Washington.
The administration says it's part of the president's goal to make the city safer and aligns with an executive order establishing a task force to reduce crime in the district. Though D.C. data shows total violent crime down 26% this year compared to last year, U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says it's still too high.
We just have too much crime.
Pirro says the administration and the D.C. Police Department are looking to increase law enforcement efforts, especially when it comes to teens.
14, 15, 16, 17 years old that I can't get my hands on.
Over the past 2 years, D.C. Police Department data show 56% of carjacking arrests involved those under 18.
Young people are coddled, and they don't need to be coddled anymore.
Returning to Capitol Review is Dr. Robinson Woodward Burns, a political science professor at Howard University. Professor, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
We're always glad to have you. As you're well aware, President Trump has once again threatened to take over the district. The question many people ask, can he do that?
There are some pretty strong restraints or limits on what the president can do constitutionally when it relates to regulating the District of Columbia. This is because the Constitution gives exclusive power over the District of Columbia, not to the president, but to Congress. The Enclave Clause in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 gives Congress plenary or complete power over the District of Columbia. And the framers of the Constitution did this because they wanted to make sure that Congress, and only Congress, had authority over the jurisdiction in which it sat. They didn't want a tyrannical president or king to have power over the place where the legislature met. And for this reason, all powers over the District of Columbia belong to Congress, save for those powers that Congress decides to defer directly to the district's municipal government, or a handful of pretty limited powers that it has expressly delegated to the executive or donated to the executive.
Professor, the president has the authority in the event of an emergency. Talk about that.
That's a great question. Congress has said through statutory law, through normal law, that there are a few circumstances under which the president can exert authority over the District of Columbia. One, in case of an emergency, the president can take control over the district's Metropolitan Police Department, its local police, for a 30-day period. This can only be done in case of emergency. Now, the district's crime rate is at a 30-year low. So it would be hard for Donald Trump to credibly claim that there is a crime emergency in the district right now. The second way that Donald Trump could try to take control over the District of Columbia is through the D.C. National Guard. Because the district is not a state, there's no governor to control the Guard, and so Donald Trump has direct authority over the Guard. He used this in 2020 to deploy the Guard against Black Lives Matter protesters, and in 2021, his Department of Defense delayed deploying the National Guard to protect the United States Capitol on January 6th during the insurrection. So it's a little bit concerning to see the president considering deploying the National Guard, not just for the governance of the District of Columbia, but because this also affects how the national government operates. When the president is threatening to use force and where the seat of the national government is, where Congress meets, it does present some sort of concerning constitutional questions about the balance of power.
And Professor, quickly, Congress, as you mentioned earlier, they can change the laws. They can also revoke home rule. You mentioned earlier that home rule gives D.C. the right to govern itself. If the president pushed the Republican-controlled Congress to revoke home rule, do you think they would follow his wishes? It would be an unprecedented move.
That would be a remarkable revocation of the district's autonomy. In 1973, Congress let district residents elect their own council and mayor. This was important partly because that's a right that Americans everywhere else have, the right to elect a local or municipal government. Congress also did this because it was really hard to govern a city of nearly 1 million residents. It took them a lot of time, and they weren't doing a very good job of it. Now, for the last 52 years, Congress has left D.C. to govern itself largely, occasionally tweaking D.C.'s budget, but letting the Home Rule Act stand. Donald Trump said that he had lawyers considering looking into repeal of the Home Rule Act. This would both violate the rights of District of Columbia residents, the right to vote, the right to elect their own government and seek representation, and it would also put on Congress's plate the really hard work of governing the District of Columbia. Because Republicans have such a narrow House majority, it's pretty hard to see them actually successfully passing such a bill unless Donald Trump really leaned on them and made it a priority for him.
Professor, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.